Hello everybody, good morning and welcome to the United Stand. This is your latest Manchester United news and transfer news. Lots to get into as per usual this morning, and quite a well, I wouldn't say a weird, but quite an interesting story to get into in relation to Manchester United putting a bid in for a midfielder. But not for this summer, for next summer, which we have seen clubs do in the past. We have seen that, but Manchester United doing something like that would be very odd. So this is in relation to Leon Goretzka of Bayern Munich, and this is coming in from German reports in relation to Manchester United putting a bid in for him. We'll talk about him in a moment, but what I want to start off is just by saying what we will be talking about on the show today. We've got updates on Paul Pogba, we've got Everton interest in Jesse Lingard, we've got updates on Delot, a few at Saul Niguez as well. And of course, we'll give you an update on Rafael Varane, which I can give you right now. The update on Rafael Varane is that late last night, a few Spanish outlets again saying that this deal is imminent for Manchester United and Rafael Varane. Slight fly in the ointment that it might not be as imminent as we thought. Some people have expected this deal to be done by, at the latest, tomorrow, Thursday. I feel that it might be going a little bit longer than that. I don't know why, but I think there are some indications that it might not be as close as people think. And let's not forget, this has been a very fast-paced deal for Manchester United. We normally get to this point and we can take weeks to negotiate a fee, and we've seen that with Bruno Fernandes in the past and Harry Maguire. We have agreed personal terms. Personal terms with Rafael Varane are not a problem and have not been a problem for a long time. But how long it's going to take for us to sort this out, I think, it could be in the next few hours. It could be in the next few days. It might be next week, because the reality is I think Real Madrid want a certain fee and United are driving that fee down. Probably a little bit too low. I think United, if you listen to reports, I think United are driving it down a little bit too low. I think 45 million euros, which is less than 40 million quid, is a little bit too low. I think he's worth 40 million, really, which is about 50 million euro. But that's where it's going to be with that, and we'll have to wait and see. Let me just tell you what, and Annie says this is going to drag out. It could well drag out. We'll have to wait and see. But the breaking news we're going to talk about is that United bid for a midfielder. This came out last night, and it came from Sport Bild, which is a German outlet. And C.C. Eckner, who is a German-based journalist who does stuff for the BBC, I'm pretty sure he tweeted about it, but then I looked again this morning and I couldn't see a tweet, so I don't know whether he deleted it. But on his timeline, he has replied to a tweet asking him about Goretzka, and he has said that all he knows is that United have been in contact with Goretzka's representatives. The story is that Manchester United have made a bid for Leon Goretzka for next summer. He's out of contract next summer. Bayern Munich are looking to get him on a new deal worth about 12 million euro a year. Manchester United have offered him 20 million. Now, I don't know. Well, I suppose 20 million a year is 20 million euro a year is around 300k a week, because David De Gea is on 18 million pounds a year, and that's about 350k a week. So 20 million euro. Well, it'd be less than that. It'd be about 275, wouldn't it? But I suppose what we're starting to see here, and Sully with the super chat says, did you see Varane's wife Instagram story about Varane to United being a matter of hours? I'm surprised she would post that. Great content. So Sully, I haven't seen it, no. But I suppose this is interesting because I think the first reaction is Goretzka the sort of player that we want, which I'll talk about in a moment. The second thing is, well, that's next summer, not this summer. Why are we not doing a deal this summer? And I suppose that is the most prevalent point. The third point is I think Goretzka will end up staying at Bayern Munich. I think a lot of Bayern Munich players end up staying at Bayern Munich until they don't want them anymore. Goretzka's 26. He's 27 next February, so he's prime. I don't think Bayern Munich want to lose him. And I think this is about Goretzka and his representatives getting a better deal out of Bayern Munich. But we're going to see this more and more, whereby you're not even dealing for this summer anymore. You're looking at players that are out of contract in a year's time. Now, Goretzka's out of contract in a year's time. Bayern Munich at this time are probably looking to give him a deal for about 12 million euros a year. Man United are going to say, well, we'll give you 20 million euros a year. Why would United do that? Because they're going to get a very good midfielder for no fee. So you put a bit of that fee into wages and say, look, we can offer you more. Same thing will happen with Paul Pogba. Same thing will happen with Varane if Real Madrid try and keep him. Same thing happened with David Alaba when he left Bayern Munich. Same thing happened with Sergio Ramos when he left Real Madrid. if there is a player out of contract, the club that holds them is never really going to keep them because they're going to have to pay them stupid wages to stay, whereas a new club will go, well, we're not paying a transfer fee, let's get him in. So I think there is something in this. It's not the first time this summer we've been linked to Goretzka, but obviously the interesting thing with this is that this would be for next summer. This is not for now, because if we wanted him now, we'd have to pay him the good wages and a good transfer fee. So this would not be this summer for Goretzka, and I think that would be the disappointing point. But Manchester United have apparently made a bid, according to German outlets, for Leon Goretzka of Bayern Munich for next summer when he's out of contract. Now, would Leon Goretzka be the perfect player for Manchester United? I would say yes. Listen to what I was saying last night about Saul Niguez. People saying he's a centre midfielder, and I said, well, he's also 26. He's got every attribute required to be a centre defensive midfielder, and the older you get, the more comfortable you become with being a CDM because, you know, fitness-wise, you don't want to be running up and down the pitch until in your 30s as you're approaching that. So I think Saul Niguez can be a good holding midfielder for United. Leon Goretzka will be a perfect holding midfielder. He plays holding midfield for Bayern Munich a lot. He can play as an attacking midfielder. He can play box-to-box. But over the last couple of years, I think he's developed his game massively in the holding midfield role. Sometimes he does it with Kimmich in a pivot. Sometimes he doesn't. But he can play that role. He's tall. He's physical. He's quick for his height. He's very good on the ball. His passing range is fantastic. Long shots, tackling, positional sense. He would be a very good centre defensive midfielder for Manchester United. But I've got to say, in relation to Goretzka, I don't think it will happen. It's a deal for next summer and we need somebody right now. And also, I just think United are having a go here, and I think he wants to stay at Bayern Munich. But I think the story is credible. I think the story is credible about Goretzka. I just think it's one of those. It's for the future, isn't it? It's for next summer. It's not for this summer. And United need a player right now to drop into that midfield. So let's see what happens with Goretzka. But apparently, it's a deal for next summer anyway because he's out of contract in a year. It's not a deal for now. But I do like him. Yeah, I do like him. Why do we keep getting asked about Griezmann? Any truth in Griezmann to Manchester United? Absolutely none. Absolutely no. Like what planet are you living on? Griezmann to Manchester United. He's on 700 grand a week. I don't want him at United. We don't need that type of player at United. We don't need another attacking midfielder at Manchester United, to be honest with you. Advath says, I think United see both Goretzka and Saul as Pogba replacements. Doesn't matter if they are back-to-back or CDM or any other position, says Advath. And maybe the Goretzka thing is a forward-thinking thing for Pogba. Because if Pogba's going to go in a year and you get Goretzka in on a free, you basically lose Pogba, but you get Goretzka in. So maybe that's what they're looking to do there, Manchester United, in a year's time. They're looking at potentially, I suppose, a Paul Pogba replacement. But that's where we are with that. Just as another story from a Northwest correspondent today is that Everton have entered the race for Jesse Lingard. I mentioned Jesse Lingard here purposely because I think we've got too many attacking midfielders. I think we've got too many options, and I think we need to raise some money. And I think that whilst West Ham is a good move for Jesse, I think Everton's an even better move for Jesse because I think Everton have got a better future than West Ham. Also, they're in the Northwest. Then, you know, Liverpool is not far away from Manchester. Jesse Lingard is, it seems, happier in the Northwest. And, you know, London, I think he was very happy at West Ham in London, but, you know, Jesse Lingard, I think he was from Warrington, wasn't he? I think he was born in Warrington, which is more that way as well. So I think Jesse Lingard and Everton would be a really good fit. I mean, let's not forget as well, Everton could have a potential issue with Sigurdsson. I'm not getting into those things that have gone on with that, but Sigurdsson is an attacking midfielder, and if he's not playing for Everton next season, then Jesse Lingard can definitely fill that hole. So I think that's interesting to see whether Everton's interest in Jesse Lingard does come to pass or not, because I think it would be a very good move for Jesse to go to Everton. They've got an attacking midfield spot there for him. It's local. It is local to where he lives. It's not far at all, and I think Everton's ambitions probably outstrip that of West Ham. I think they can achieve more than West Ham. I think they've got more finance than West Ham, and I think that Lingard would suit Everton. I think it'd be a good move. I think it'd be a really, really good move for Jesse Lingard. And I hope there's something in it, because I think the one thing about Everton is they'll definitely have the 25 million to spend on Jesse Lingard as well. So let's see how that develops, because I think, I've got nothing against West Ham, but it just feels to me like West Ham don't really have the money, and Jesse doesn't really have the appetite to go to West Ham. I think Everton's a different thing. They'll have the money, they've got the ambition. I think it's a good move. Let's see when it happens. Daryl, thank you very much for joining the United Stand Members Club. Appreciate that. So we spoke about Lingard, we spoke about the Goretzka story. The update on Varane for people who are joining, still imminent, next few hours, imminent, it's going to happen really soon. I don't know when it's going to happen. I don't know. You know, realistically, it's a bit like Jadon Sancho being announced. I don't know when that's going to happen either. It could be in the next hour. It could be in the next week. And I think at the same time, I'd say the same about Raphael Varane. There feels like there's a feeling that this is going to happen really, really soon, but it could happen next week. And I think Varane is meant to be due back in training on Friday. I don't like that. I'll put my hand up there and say I don't like that. I don't like the thought of Raphael Varane going back in training, but you know, United, maybe that will be the the fire up the arse to just sort of get them, moving a little bit. But we'll see. But Varane looking very, very much like he's going to be a United player, and every time I say that, I can't help but get excited. Raphael Varane, Manchester United player. That'd be massive. And I don't want this deal to drag out for ages either. I mean, this would be nice. This would be a nice deal to get done quickly. We don't normally get deals done quickly. To have that buzz and excitement around it would be nice for a change. So let's see what happens with that one. Just very quickly on Jadon Sancho, there's a little bit of a video floating around today of Edison Cavani in a number 7 shirt. So people are now saying Cavani's wearing the number 7 shirt. My information is that Jadon Sancho is wearing the number 7 shirt. And remember that these football kits, these new kits that United are wearing, we saw pictures of Harry Maguire in it. We saw pictures of Luke Shaw in it. They were training with England at the time. So when were these photos done? And a new United kit could have done the photographs and videos for that at the end of last season. They probably did. So that at that point, a little video of Cavani in the number 7 shirt probably wasn't a bad idea. I mean, somebody said to me, maybe they're doing it on purpose to sell more 7 shirts of Cavani, that then when he moves, people have to get it reprinted. I don't think that. I do still think that Jadon Sancho will be in the number 7. I think that video of Cavani could be old. On Goretzka, says Cam Armstrong, we shouldn't be looking for Pogba replacements. We should be looking for players to persuade Pogba to stay and who can help win titles ASAP, says Cam. Glad we got rid of Rojo Mart. What a prat, says NMCC. And if Pogba leaves this summer, do you think we will replace him? He'll be a huge loss creatively. If yes, who is the player to match his abilities, says Anna Rudd. Well, very well timed chat there, Anna Rudd. Because there is an update in relation to Paul Pogba. Now, Paul Pogba is going to be a very up and down story. You're going to get stories that we've had for the last couple of days. In fact, we did it on Monday night. Pogba stays, and I think that's my personal opinion. My personal opinion is that Paul Pogba will stay next season. He will not sign a new contract. He will run it down, and he will go in a year's time, and he'll be very rich because people will offer him silly money because they won't have to pay a transfer fee. So I think Pogba will stay, and I think he'll stay for another year. That's what I think is going to happen. However, it's not going to stop stories floating around. Now, this morning, there is a story coming out of France and there is a story coming out of the Daily Mail in England that Manchester United are under pressure to sell Paul Pogba and that PSG are going to intensify their ambition to sign Paul Pogba over the next 6 weeks, because we've got 6 weeks left of the transfer window. And that they feel that they can get Paul Pogba for less than half of the £89 million we paid for him. I don't think United will do it. I don't think United will sell him for less than they're going to pay for Varane. And I think that's where PSG are going to struggle here. That I don't think United will sell him for 40 or 45 because they're doing a similar deal with Varane and they'll go, well, we should be getting more than that for Pogba. So I don't think PSG will be able to negotiate a deal with Manchester United, and I think United will take it into next season in the hope that they can change his mind. Saul or Goretzka, who's your pick, says Jacob. Saul for me, yeah. Wouldn't sell Donny, but be stupid till Pogba signs a contract, or else next summer we might not have either. Could you compare Varane stats versus the top rest of top centre-backs, says Karen. I can't, Karen. I don't do stats. I don't believe in stats. I don't think they're worthwhile. I mean, there are 1 or 2 stats that I think are interesting, but I'm not going to compare stats because, as I said, You can have somebody like Scott McTominay and Fred with a passing accuracy of 98%, and Bruno and Pogba's could be 80%. Who's the better passer? It ain't the lad who's passing it 5 yards sideways. It's the lad who's trying to hit 40, 50-yard passes. According to the Daily Telegraph, Luke Shaw played with broken ribs in Euros, and United are now waiting to investigate Shaw, who is on holiday, says Nicholas. If you'd watched yesterday, Nicholas, you'd know that we've already spoken about that, and that the expectation is that Luke Shaw will be fine for the start of the season. He's resting up, but yes, he did play with problems with his ribs. Van de Beek, not Pogba kind of player, right, Mark? Says Anarud. I don't know what that's meant to mean, but let me carry on with what I was talking about. We're talking about Paul Pogba. I don't think United are under pressure to sell Paul Pogba. I think United do not want to sell Pogba for anything less than about 60 million quid, and nobody can afford to pay that. As I said, it doesn't mean that Pogba won't leave over the next few weeks. What we don't know is what Paul Pogba wants to do. We're all sat here saying Pogba stays or Pogba's going to go, and I can sit here confidently and say Pogba's been very respectful to United over the last year. I know his agent hasn't, and maybe that's Pogba telling his agent to do that, but Pogba himself hasn't caused any major problems for United and has handled the situation well. I don't think Paul Pogba is going to change how he deals with things. I think Paul Pogba will be professional and think, look, United aren't going to sell me unless a good offer comes in, and I'm not sure whether I want to go to PSG anyway. I can always go to PSG in a year, but I can go to Real Madrid, I could go to Barcelona, I could go back to Juventus, I can go anywhere in a year. I'm going to be professional and just stay at United for another year. That's what I'm going to do. And I think that's what Paul Pogba will do. On the other hand, he could come back from his holiday and go, Mino, get in the press, get it out there that I want to go, and I don't want to start the season with United. So, you know, we just have to wait and see with Pogba. I mean, French outlets again are saying that if Pogba goes, United are going to look at OR. Camavinga comes back into the equation again as well, but I just don't see Pogba going. I think we will get stories, and look, maybe we'll all get sideswiped by Amino Riola. He's been very quiet, but I just don't see Pogba going this summer. I really don't. If you could choose one player in the world to come to United that we aren't in for at the moment, who would it be? Says Sick. On the assumption that we've got Sancho and Varane, I would be looking at centre defensive midfielder, and therefore I think I would probably go with Kimmich, someone like that. I'd just go for the best CDM money can buy, and I think he would be perfect for United. Yeah, Mark. When I lived in Germany, I travelled to go to watch Dortmund, and Sancho is special. We might have the biggest signing this summer transfer window by far, says Danny Deritos. Yeah, a lot of people. Steve Leiter says no contract, no game time for Pogba. Absolutely no chance that'll happen. A lot of people agreeing with me actually about Kimmich, although Gustav says Kimmich or Ndidi. So that's where we are with Paul Pogba at the moment. PSG apparently are going to try and get him. I think they'll struggle with that. I really do. Hi Mark, what's your opinion on Van de Beek to Barcelona rumours and whether we should go ahead with it, says Aditya. Well, I don't want to bore people because I'm sure a lot of people know how I feel about this, but I would be... to me, although we're on track for a really good summer transfer window, imagine this scenario, right? We only get Varane and Sancho. Pogba doesn't sign a new contract and we know we're going to lose him in a year. We sell Donny van de Beek and we loan out David De Gea. I don't know. You're going to lose Pogba in a year. Van de Beek's gone. De Gea's been booted out just for Varane and Sancho. I mean, on the scales, that's not as good as it can be. On the other hand, you get Varane, you get Sancho, you get Camavinga, Pogba signs a new contract, De Gea's the number one, and Van de Beek stays, and I'm like, whoa, that's good. That is good. So, Atu, I ain't stupid with your silly super chat about trying to get me to say something rude. You need to be way better than that. I'd sell Pogba ASAP. He's inconsistent and too much drama follows him. Great talent, but poor mentality. Grealish is far better than Pogba. Dylan, you've opened up the floodgates early on this Wednesday morning. So yes, I still am not convinced that this summer transfer window is the genius thing everybody thinks it is yet. There's still a lot of weeks left in this transfer window and a lot of things that can go right and can go wrong. Only player I'd be okay with seeing Donny leave for would be Kimmich, says Joshua Bowwater. I do not want Donny van de Beek to go. I know I keep saying it, but he was man of the match against Wolves in our last Premier League game, playing in the midfield against a decent Wolves side. I know Wolves weren't great last year, but they still had a lot of their good players on the pitch. It was their last game of the season. It was their last game for Nuno, so they were motivated. And Donny ran the game, and Ahmed was brilliant as a false nine. So I don't think that those two players should be sold or loaned out. But Ollie doesn't seem to be able to know how to use them. So we'll have to wait and see. But I don't want Donny van de Beek to leave. I'd take De Jong of Barca for Donny, says Jordan M. I wouldn't take any player for Donny, because actually, when I'm a little bit older than some people, and loyalty and getting behind your players is important to me. Now, people will say, "Oh, you're not like that with such and such. You're not like that." But think about it. I probably have given them a lot of chances and then decided that they're not good enough. And actually, if they prove they are good enough, I'll give them another chance. Matic I thought was washed 2 years ago, and he came back and had a good year, and I was like, you know what, he's come back. So I'm not letting Van der Beek go for anybody. I'm not. I don't want him to go. I think he's a good player. He's a Manchester United player. People forget he's a Manchester United player. We should have some loyalty and give him a chance. Also, I think he's better than some of the players we've got. Danny says, Mark, I don't know about your opinions, but I think Kane is overpriced. Mark my words, if he actually moves to a big team, he will fail. Well, he won't be coming to us, Danny, so I'm not worried about that. I think Fred can play DM on his own, but Ollie must back him, says Richard. And people claim Ollie isn't ruthless, but look at players like Van der Beek, Telles and Delot. These are high potential prospects rated by coaches around the world, says Paraz. But why does that make him ruthless? I had to go quiet then. Why does that make Ollie ruthless? Like that he doesn't use his bench? I think that makes him weak. That he won't rotate his team and overuses the same 13 players and burns them out. There's no doubt for me that Rashford and Bruno had bad Euros because they were overplayed by Solskjaer during the domestic season. So yeah, I don't think he's ruthless. I think he's a little bit naive that he doesn't rotate his squad. But there we go. Just to go back to Saul Niguez, I know we did the show last night. You can check out the video on that. But just a little bit more from the Manchester Evening News about Saul Niguez. Basically, what they're saying is that United have been monitoring and scouting this player for about 7 years, which is probably why we get linked to him every summer for the last 7 years. He's certainly a player United like. However, the bottom line is that it's very unlikely that United would sign 2 players from Atletico Madrid this summer, and that the preference is Kieran Trippier, which I've got to agree. I do agree with that, but I don't agree with it, if you know what I mean. I agree that we're highly likely to sign Trippier, and I agree that it would be very odd for us to buy 2 players from Atletico Madrid. But you know what? Forget the name Kieran Trippier. Let me just say this. Why are Man United prioritising a backup right back over a midfielder? And that's the thing. I think we can pretty much see now that United are prioritising a backup right back over a midfielder. And what does that show you? That shows you that the coaching setup believe that McTominay and Fred are fine. And we saw them play a lot last season. So this McTominay and Fred obsession is going to continue into next season. And obviously we feel that they are good enough. And that's why we're going for a backup right back over that. There is interest in Camavinga. There is a feeling that with Camavinga, Man United want to get Varane and Sancho out the way first. I don't know why we can't multitask. Sancho is done. That's a marketing thing. Varane is a negotiation thing. Why can't we work on other deals other than one at a time? But there is a feeling that if we're going to make a move for Camavinga, it won't be until after we've done Varane. But it really is a case that United are prioritising the backup right back over a midfielder at the moment, which is a bit worrying. Any update on Ronaldo to United, says Shara? Yeah, yesterday we spoke about that, Shara. He's the PSG and United thing has just not developed or materialised, so I think he'll be staying in Turin at Juventus. And Sheikh says, I'm worried about Saul. I'll be honest, I haven't watched him much, but I read he isn't the same player everyone expected him to be. He was out of team many times. I hope it's because of tactics, not him, says Sheikh. Well, look, he's a player that at one point, maybe even a year ago, would have cost you over £100 million. He's looking like he'd go for about 40 to 50 million euros now, which is 30 to 40 million pounds. So there is a drop off with Saul Niguez, but is it a drop off because he's had a bad year? He's only 26. If he can get back to the form that he's been showing before, then he'd be an absolute bargain for somebody. Luke Jones says, poor Donny's been written off. He can bounce back. Needless to say, he will have the last laugh, says Luke Jones. Get Ander Herrera back, says Akshat. No. I mean, no. We never should have let him go in the first place, but yeah, don't bring him back now. I like Trippier because that opens up the 5 at the back with either him and Aaron Wan-Bissaka going right side centre. My God, Martin, do you know football? Manchester United in a back 5. God, why would any United fan want to see United playing with 3 centre-backs and 2 wing-backs? We ain't bloody B-Tech bloody England. Man United with a back 5 and 3 centre-backs. Oh my God, Jesus wept. Oh, you know what? I've had a summer of this with England. I tell you what, I've had a bloody summer of this. England awash with attacking talent and not really got loads of defensive talent. Play a back 5 and 2 holding midfielders. Oh yeah, please let's replicate that shit, boring, pragmatic, defensive wank football at United. I'd love to see United playing a back 5, McFred, and then maybe what do you get then? 3 attackers. Bloody hell. I mean, there's not much that will instantly irritate me, but a back 5 with 2 holding midfielders and Solskjaer in charge just makes me want to heave. I mean, it really does. I've just had a nice bowl of porridge with some blueberries on it, and it'll be all over this bloody desk in a minute. No, I don't want to see... If Trippier means a back 5, somebody stop Trippier coming back to Manchester United. I don't want to see a back 5 at United. I don't want to see Aaron Wan-Bissaka as a bloody right-sided centre-back either. A slide tackling centre-back. Well, there's something you don't even see on bloody arcade games. No, thank you very much. I do not want to see a back 5 at United because it'll be a back 5 with McFred in front of it, and it'll be the boringest, shittest football you've ever seen in your bloody life. I've just watched a summer of that crap. Ollie maybe just ruined Rashi's season by using him, says Danny. And I don't think Pogba is good enough for the Premier League, says Sarvish. Okay, thanks for the super chat, Sarvish, but I'm going to stop you getting absolute pelters. B says, hi Mark, what do you think it would take for Glazers to fire Ollie? If gone before Christmas, which coach would you bring in? Mate, I don't think Ollie will be gone before Christmas. I know it gets mentioned a lot, but the reality is, he's got too many good players to not be in the top 4 by Christmas, so he won't be gone. I don't think it. I think I could sit here now and say that Ollie will be the manager next season already, because I just don't think we can't finish outside the top 4, and they'll just keep him. The one thing you've got to understand about the Glazers is Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is perfect. He's a club legend and he protects them. Now, if you think about all the trouble that went off at the end of last season, it was bad. It was bad. It would have been worse if it was Mourinho in charge, or Moyes in charge, or Van Gaal in charge. As bad as it was, having Ollie as the manager still gets into the fans' heads that, look, Solskjaer's there. We don't want to upset Solskjaer. And the Glazers know that. He's a buffer. They won't get rid of Solskjaer because they know that when they get rid of Ollie, it's going to upset a lot of people and it leaves them exposed. So as long as we're finishing in the top 4, I wouldn't even think the football matters. I think Solskjaer will stay in charge. Do you play fantasy football, Anand? I might play it again this season, but I don't know. Ollie needs to change his coaching staff, says Alpha. Well, he has brought somebody in, which is good. The next thing I want to talk about is Dalot. Romano was talking about Diego Dalot. Apparently, AC Milan are going to come back in with another offer. This is going to be a loan offer with an option to buy, which is basically what he was doing last summer. So I'm not happy with this Dalot situation because we're going to spend 20 million on Trippier, but we're going to make no money back on Dalot. Like, Dalot will go on loan for a year with an option to buy. He's just done that, and what happens? He comes back again. Basically, these clubs are wising up to United. United can't afford to United can't sell players because their wages are too much. So clubs like AC Milan come along and go, we'll take Dalot off you, but we only want him on a loan. And we'll have an option to buy next summer, and we'll try and do it. And then next summer comes around and go, we can't afford it. Can we have him on loan again? So we're getting played here, and actually it's costing us money, because it's costing us money by not selling Dalot, and then it's costing us money to buy a backup right back. Same thing is going to happen with Andreas Pereira. And the same thing could happen with Jesse Lingard if we don't sell him. Calvin Phillips was considered finished before Bielsa and now he's transformed. Not everyone is a talented CDM, but do you think better tactics and off-the-ball movement can improve McTominay and Fred, says a retro. No, I don't. That's just my opinion. I don't see... I look at Calvin Phillips and his balance and body shape. If you were a Leeds fan, you might have seen something in him. McTominay's just too pragmatic on the ball. He's so slow in moving the ball. And his body shape is slow. I know when he's at full sprint, he's quick, but he's just not got that agility on the ball that you need to have. He just doesn't have it. He's very static in that sense. Fred just doesn't have his first touch is abysmal at times, and it terrifies me when he gets the ball with his back to goal, like it's going to bounce off him like a brick wall. I don't think either of them are ever going to be centre defensive midfielders in their own right. You can put them together, but then you're going to lose an attacking player, aren't you? So that's why for me they're McFred. And if you're going to play them as holding midfielders, I don't think they can do it on their own. If Ollie did have a howler, who would you like to see come in and replace him, says Cam? I mean, I don't ever think about that because I'm not thinking about replacing Solskjaer, but there are, at this moment in time, there are, again, and this has happened before, there are two very good candidates that a lot of people would like at United, and there's many beyond that, but, you know, people will say Zidane and Conte. Zidane and Conte will be in jobs by Christmas because somebody somewhere will get the sack quite quickly at a big club. I think Ollie needs to rotate Rashford and Martial to give Martial more game time, confident and more rest for Rashford, says Taylor. I love Pogba, but I feel it is one of those stories that's better with the separation. Time for a fresh start with Aouar or Saul for Pogba, says Sharavin. Yeah, I mean, look, the Pogba debate, you could talk about it all day, and we would take it all. We would be here all day talking about Paul Pogba. But the reality is, we'll have to see what happens in the next 6 weeks, but I think Paul Pogba will come back to United. I don't see that there's going to be a massive issue at United. I mean, look, there was no issue when the night before we played RB Leipzig in a massive game, he released through his agent some pretty bad comments. He was playing, in the next few weeks and everything was fine. So he's got no reason to come back to training next week and not be fine. And therefore he'll start the season with United fine, and I think he'll play well for United up until about January, and then we'll find out what's going to go on with Paul Pogba. I don't think the next 6 weeks are going to be big in relation to Paul Pogba's future. I don't think he'll sign a new contract. I don't think he'll leave the club. I think this is going to be a long goodbye, and it's not ideal. I don't like it, and people will always say, what would your ideal situation be if he's not going to sign a new contract? Sell him. I would sell him this summer, but I'm not Man United, but I would sell him. But if he doesn't want to go, and United don't want to sell him, doesn't matter what I think, but I don't like players running their contract down because I just don't think I think it allows it to be okay. Everyone in that dressing room will know what Pogba's doing, and they might think about doing it themselves. And the more people you've got running your contracts down, the less certainty, the less identity there is with you as a team. Because who's in it for the long run? So I don't like the idea of him running his contract down, but I think he will be. And look, maybe it can be Pogba can be part of a title charge, as Annie says, but I don't know. Ihab says, for now I'm backing Solskjaer, for future maybe Eric Ten Hag. I think we won't be buying a CDM and we'll be playing either Fred and McTominay as CDM and play all out attack, says Swapnil. I don't think we'll play all out attack. I don't think we've got a manager that's going to play all out attack. I think he's had his fingers burnt there, and he likes to be pragmatic, doesn't he? Advath says, why the hell can't we just use Delo as another fullback option and save the money? Yeah, I'd rather do that. I'd rather not get Trippier and spend it on Saul Niguez, but we seem obsessed on this Trippier deal. Do you think that McFred can benefit from playing with McGann instead of Magaluf? Says Benson White. No, I don't think we can benefit from that because I don't think we need to play two holding midfielders when you've got Varane and Maguire. You only need to play one. The only way Fred and McTominay will benefit is if one of them's on the bench and one of them starts. Like, we don't need to start two of them. One of them with Pogba or Van der Beek for me. But if he plays both of them in front of Varane and Maguire, it's too defensive. Yeah. We won't pay 40 million for Trippier, Nikhil. Somebody said, what's the point? What's the situation with Varane? Imminent. Quite a big Spanish outlet last night was saying imminent that Varane joins Manchester United. To be honest with you, I get most of my updates on Varane now from the Spanish outlets because Madrid is ridiculous, and Barcelona. It's just constant information from many different sources, and that's sort of where I've been getting my updates from for the last couple of weeks with Varane. So yeah, imminent, but how close is close? You know, it could be 2 weeks, it could be 2 days, it could be 2 hours. What about another club legend like Rudy for Ollie, says Girish. And hi Mark, what are you feeling about the season ahead if Varane and Trippier are the last signings? Optimistic, says B. No, I'm not optimistic because I don't like the midfield situation. We've got uncertainty about Pogba. We've still got McTominay and Fred. We've got a past it Matic. I don't think that I still think we're Bagel FC. Regardless of Varane, Trippier, Sancho, we're still Bagel FC. We were Bagel FC last year. The mint without a hole, polo football. Like, there's nothing in that midfield that makes me think that is going to be good enough. What's going on with United's debt, says Danny. It's still there. And I like Pogba. His passing works well, but he struggles with physical side and pace of Premier League. He was great in Serie A. What's wrong in saying that, says Sarvish? There's nothing wrong with you saying it, Sarvish. I just think you're massively, massively wrong. And that Paul Pogba is actually one of the best midfielders in the Premier League. He just doesn't get utilised properly by United because we're obsessed with putting 2 players in the midfield to run around a lot, and he gets put on the left wing. Why do you think the players won't allow Ollie to sack? It's nothing to do with the players, J-Ling's fan. It's nothing to do with the players. It's a results business. The players don't really have much say in whether the manager gets sacked or not. There's been many managers that have been sacked that managers don't want to be sacked because the fans and the club turn against them when the results are bad. So no, I don't think that. I don't know what that's all about. I mean, the players are behind Ollie, yeah, definitely. But I mean, that somebody just said to me, there's a tweet come out. It's from Tancredo Palmieri, who's been discredited for years. He's not somebody I would take any notice of, and he's basically saying what we've already spoken about this morning. Anyway, I mean that's a regurgitation tweet. I don't even know why the United Journal would even tweet that guy, because there's just no credibility in that at all, and it's a regurgitation story. So it's just saying the same thing about Pogba, that he's not going to sign a new contract and that PSG are interested, but that doesn't mean he's going to go in the next 6 weeks. Doesn't mean he's going to go in the next 6 weeks, does it? Anyway, look, thanks everyone for watching. Make sure you smash a like on the video and subscribe, bottom right hand corner. You want to get that notification when Varane is Here We Go. When will that Here We Go be? I don't know. But it could be today, it could be tomorrow, it could be Friday, it could be next week. But I'm hoping we're going to get something quick on it. Not because I've got any indication that I've got anything quick about it. There are people out there that feel like something will happen this week with Varane. But I just think it'd be great to get a deal done quick. And I think it would be great to get a deal done quick, to know that we've got a player of that quality that's going to be there for that Leeds game. Because I'm already starting to think about Leeds. I know it's still 3 or 4 weeks away, but already starting to think about that game and what our starting lineup's going to be and what our start to the season's going to be. I want 3 points. I want 6 points. I want 9 points. I want 12 points. I want a good start to the season. Just want to say thanks for the great show, Mark, says B, and taking the time to read all the super chats. Regards from New Zealand. Good to catch you live for a change. Been watching since 5,000 subscribers. Big up to B. Thank you very much for that. United in the title race until the last 2 match days. Will that be considered a good season? Because I still think still short on winning it, says Gustav. Yeah. If we're in a title race until 2 games out, I'd be happy with that. I would be happy with that. Thanks everyone for watching. Speak to you all in a bit. Smash a like on the video, subscribe, take care, and I'll speak to you all in a little bit.